Guys, I am really, really happy. Jared over at Neves Knives, I got goosebumps already. Jared over at Neves Knives sent me this Finch knife. It's one I've wanted to see for a while, and I'm absolutely in love with it. You guys need to check this out. This thing is awesome. This is the Finch Reciprocity. So let's turn this around and take a look at probably my favorite Finch so far. Guys, Finch Knives has put out some of the best knives that I've seen, knives that I've just truly fallen in love with. And this is no exception. This is the Finch Reciprocity. This thing is not just gorgeous. It is a very, very well-made, well-designed knife. So Finch typically has knives that would look like a traditional like this, even down to the nail nick, but they take and turn them into flippers. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at a 154 cm Wharncliffe blade that comes down to about the Goldilocks zone on behind the edge thickness. So it's a robust enough edge that you don't have to worry about it giving up, but it's also thin enough that it cuts really well. I did some cutting through heavy cardboard, some stuff that had some adhesive on it, did a bunch of different shape stuff. The handles on it are absolutely gorgeous with these wood scales on here, and then they've basically taken what is a frame lock, turned it into a bolster lock. They've put this in and made these bolsters. There is no, you can barely even feel that with your fingernail, how they've married that up. The blade on this is, it's awesome. It is just the right size to get way up on it and do some detail cutting if you need to cut around something, cut out a pattern. It is all flat, perfectly flat grind on this Wharncliffe blade. Some really good jimping here that you can get up on, because this is kind of a smaller knife. This is more along the size and lines of what you would see in a traditional, but you can get up on it and do some heavy duty cutting. There are no hot spots on this, none. Even when I was bearing down and pushing really, really hard, zero hot spots, because everything here has been rounded and softened beautifully. And one of the things that I noticed on the Buffalo Tooth by Finch is that they jimped this portion of the flipper tab, which I kind of was, I was like, why did they do it? But then when you realize that you can get up on there and choke up a little bit further, and then that acts almost like a spot where you would typically have a choil. It is great. I love the fact that they've left the nail nick in here. Now, fit and finish on this thing are just beautiful. You have got nothing to complain about in the looks department. They have married everything up perfectly. I cannot feel a spot anywhere on this knife where something does not marry up nice and clean. Even on the locks guide, I mean, you can there, but that's because that's where your lock bar is. It is perfect. The action on it is incredible. It is just about perfect in the action department. There's no drag, no pull. It's not quite drop shut. It's almost drop shut. A little shake will get it there, but that's not always the end all be all, because when it comes open, it is great. Detent is locked in there, so you got a nice snappy action, so it's not just going to come open. And like I said, if you are a fan of traditionals, you can nail nick it open. You have got awesome access. I wish other companies would learn to do this. You can get away with just doing this and not take a bunch of material out of the lock over here, especially on like a liner lock. You can get away with that. It's not going to affect comfort levels. And on this, it absolutely just makes it beautiful in hand. The pocket clip in and out of the pocket has been great because it's on these wood scales. So it's just riding on that nice. There are no hot spots in hand. That pocket clip just sits perfect. And this sits in the pocket nicely. But I mean, just look at the finish on this knife. You're not going to go wrong with this. The amount of work that they've done to give you that satin on this, that linear satin, that is a lot of work to do it on a blade and on handle scales and on the liners or frame itself. It all marries up. It's beautiful. I absolutely find this knife gorgeous. It's almost a shame to cut with it, but we will. And then the last little touch is you have the glow in the dark Finch logo right here in the scales. I'll try and get some video of it and throw it in here so you guys can see it. But it's absolutely awesome when you see that and it's glowing. So there's only a couple little things about the knife that I don't like, and I will flip this around and tell you about those right after you guys hear from the channel sponsors.
Guys, you've heard me talk about Coffee Brand Coffee a bunch of times. I'm going to do it again real quick. Coffee Brand Coffee is a channel sponsor. They are a great company sponsoring small channels like mine, but they also are a guilt-free purchase because they do not practice any politics. They have a money-back guarantee, and they roast their coffee on demand. So if you're interested in it, my link down below in the videos saves you 10% at checkout, sometimes more depending on what they've got going on as far as specials and sales. So go check them out. Great product. Thank you very much for sponsoring the channel, Coffee Brand Coffee. Let's get back to the knife.
So only a couple small things to mention. They're very minor. First one is I'm not a fan of T6 screws. I know a lot of people will argue with me, but I don't like T6 screws. They have a much higher tendency of stripping out than something like a T8. You could have easily done T8 screws all across, and then you got less moving parts. So that's the first one. I haven't been a fan of T6 screws for a long time, especially when you consider a lot of companies' warranty does not cover if you happen to strip these screws, you are screwed, technically. Next thing, I would have liked to have seen them done something. This isn't a knock. It's not like this is uncomfortable or anything. I would have liked to have seen them do something, maybe like what they do with this, put like some lattice work on a piece of like reactive, you know, they obviously print these out. They could have just used some glow reactive resin and put like the ivy work through here. It would have just give it an awesome pop. That's not a knock against the knife, but I will say that on this one, I talked about all the fit and finish, but on this one, as you can see, as I zoom in, this one stands up just ever so slightly, and you can feel it. And it's not that that's horrible, but on a knife that everything else is so clean and smooth, that just stands out. Like it's like when you get something small in your eye. It's tiny, but in your eye it feels like a boulder. It stands out so much more because the rest of the knife is so smooth and finished. And then the final thing that I found is the plunge has got a bit of a ramp, and it's going to continue to get worse because it's ground back into the thick spot of this knife. Had they just taken this choil out ever so slightly, just right to there, just right out past where that starts to get thick, it would have been so much better. You wouldn't have gotten that ramping. But other than that, this knife is just epically awesome. I will say it's a little heavy. It is a little heavy because it is a steel frame with the wood over top. It's almost the same as this full titanium knife in weight. It could almost be a little heavier than this. I don't mind a heavy knife. It feels good. I like the heft, but it is a little heavy. That might be something you want to look at. When we do the full review, I'll have all the weight and all the specs and everything for those of you that are curious about how much it weighs. So there you go. Big shout out to Jared over at Neves Knives for making this possible. He sent a bunch of knives, and this was one of them. And I love this thing. I have fallen in love with it. So let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and send you out about your day.
Guys, like I said in the video, you cannot go wrong with this. This thing is amazing. It's gorgeous. I don't know price point or anything yet. I probably will put a purchase link for this down below if I can find one, but this thing is probably one of the most gorgeous knives that has come in a long time. It is just truly elegant. I'm in love with it. I'm really glad that Jared sent it along. I've wanted to see one. Pictures do not do it justice. You need to see one of these and just get to feel it. So there you go, guys. I'm gushing and I still have goosebumps. That's how good this knife is. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. You don't like them, give them a thumbs down, but tell me why if you want to support the channel. I put probably Coffee Brand Coffee. I'm working on some ads for Tempered Trail, my other channel sponsor. They are both amazing vendors. They are apolitical. They are not going to support any causes you don't believe in. Coffee Brand Coffee is 10% off now. Both of them have discounts built into the links down below, but you can also use coupon code Crazy Sharp, all one word. You can use that coupon code as well over at Rosecraft Blades and Ferrum Forge Knife Works. It's just a discount. I don't get anything from any sales to make over there. I just thought it would be cool to offer you guys a discount. I have an Amazon store down below where you can find a lot of the stuff that I have on the channel that's not necessarily the knives. And I have a ton of affiliate links down below if you want to check out any of the companies and support the channel if you're going to buy knives anyway. I also have a membership down below. It's all tier-based. Everyone gets early access to videos. Everyone gets access to my Gilded server, which is just like Discord. Everyone gets exclusive content when I do it. Baseline and premium guys are entered into giveaways that I do there, separate of the YouTube stuff. And the premium guys have access to a sharpening tutorial series behind that paywall here on YouTube. Guys, that's it. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I'll see you in the next video.